on the dot central, 1 o'clock Eastern, and we will get started with our brew this afternoon or this morning, depending on where you're at. So, good afternoon, financial professionals. I am Phil Haug, Senior Vice President of Sales with E4 Insurance Services, welcoming you to the brew, building relationships every week. Thank you for tuning in today. For those of you joining the brew for the first time, welcome. We'd like to start the brewcast by celebrating today's national days. Today is National Chocolate Pudding Day, National Canoe Day, and National Day of Joy. And I cannot think of anything that would be more joyous than riding in a canoe, having some chocolate pudding on a day like today. So on today's brew, we're going to wrap up June's focus planning series, which has been Annuity Awareness Month, with myself and our Director of Annuities, Doug Twiddy. We encourage you to use the chat box or raise your hand to ask questions. All attendees will be entered into a drawing for a CE voucher and a Starbucks gift card, and we'll announce the winner at the end. So we'll get started. On the outset, we are trying to refresh and continually be on the forefront of providing information to our advisors as best as we possibly can, because that information presents opportunities for us. And we are kind of having a little bit more of a sequenced format where you'll see some consistencies throughout the month. With each week, there'll be a different highlight, including inviting advisors in or discussing cases that are real world, or as I like to call them, live fire. So you can see kind of what's working in the market. And then at the end of the month, we will be doing a summary and a recap with the expert that we have within E4. So this month, we have Doug, who is our annuity director, and we're going to kind of recap the month. So I'm going to ask Doug a few questions just to kind of bring us back to center here. So Doug, in the last several months, especially the last 30 days, and what we've got coming forward, what sort of tools are available to the advisors working with E4 that they're using that's been the most helpful and has been driving the most success? And an addendum to that would be, is there anything new that we're going to have available that they can use to pivot into conversations and sales?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you brought up the new pivot one. Um, so I think in the first week we went over a little bit through Annuity Rate Watch, or our Annuity Solutions Weekly. So, every Monday we send out the Annuity Solutions Weekly. It's a 2-page PDF that highlights some of the top rates. Right, it's a quick, easy thing for you to look at and see what's going on for the week. And then if you can get into Annuity Rate Watch, it's a great tool that allows you to filter for rates based on the client that you're looking at, their age and their premium, or free withdrawal privileges, things like that they want to look at, or even run income quotes for lifetime income. So that's an excellent tool. But of course, we're still here to run those as you need. And then when it's time to submit business, we have Firelight as our e-app platform built into our website that lets you almost flawlessly get through an application much more quickly than the 80-page PDF where you're trying to figure out what pages you should throw away and which ones you actually have to keep.
Yeah.
And new and upcoming, I wish it was ready so we could show it this month. But we have a new agreement with Luma that's going to bring lots of different tools into one place. We'll be able to look back at old variable annuities, some of the workings of them, the income annuities, and start comparing them to new income annuities. And it'll also be just another tool to look up rates, just like with Annuity Rate Watch. And then our Firelight will be built right into it. So as you're looking at numbers and quotes, you'd be able to submit the application right there without having to change over. So it'll make it a little bit more seamless from beginning to end.
Nice. So the user experience, it's going to be able to, on that Luma platform, which will obviously have more information coming out soon. That's going to be an interface or a program that the advisor is going to be able to go in and help them with setting up the need or describing the solution on a digital platform. Is that kind of how it's going to work?
Yeah, it'll sort of be the same idea as Annuity Rate Watch, where you can plug in client data, premium states, features you're looking for, look across fixed indexed annuities, MIGAs. We'll probably have even some other stuff in there as well. But the biggest one that I'm excited about is the ability to really compare an old variable annuity with income to a new annuity with income, because as most people know, income annuities are very, very strong these days.
Yeah.
And we can take a pretty old variable annuity that's had that roll up in the background for quite some time, and we can still beat it, and get rid of a lot of the fees that are inside of those variable annuities that people don't like. And it'll spit out, I think, a 2 or 3 page comparison. So it'll be a really nice presentation.
Okay. I have had some personal experience with what you're talking about, and that's actually a perfect pivot into my next question. So, as the director of annuities, obviously you're running point, and you're the lead on this. Um, is there or has there been a particular type of conversation or a type of placement with the annuity solutions that you've seen more consistent than others? Is it, are annuities being looked at as an alternative asset class? Are they are they looking at higher rates? So there's some growth. Are they being looked at? You talked about the income provisions that are present now with factors right now. So you're obviously you're catching, you're the net catching everything and filtering everything out. So what are you seeing the most? Or if it's not anything that's picking out and stepping out from everything else, what are the, I guess, what are the 3 or 4 most popular discussed solution areas for the annuities?
Yeah, it's definitely all over the place. We've basically tripled our annuity business in the last 3 years. And annuities have always been used as like that safe money bond alternative. And even with the old annuities, the rates aren't quite as good as they are today. So we're seeing a lot of people trading out old annuities for new annuities. These carriers these days, because of the rates, are starting to accept surrender charges that maybe wouldn't have been accepted some time back. I'm not saying grab an annuity with a 10% surrender charge and change it over. Obviously, we've got to do the best thing for the client, but
Right.
we're seeing people that are moving annuities over, and we're targeting certain products with bonuses that basically offset the surrender charge or even better. We're seeing lots of MIGAs, especially now with rates dropping. They're trying to jump in and save these rates. And then income annuities, I mean, if we look back at where they were 2 years ago, they are substantially higher
Yeah.
today than they were 2 or 3 years ago. So lots of people are jumping into that and locking those in place, because it's guaranteed bonus, guaranteed roll ups, guaranteed payout factors, right?
Yeah.
So we're providing some great stability inside of a retirement portfolio with a lot of these income annuities. So it's all over the place, right? Or you get some of these people that had annuities, and they're mid 70s now, and they're looking to get a good rate that's going to help grow it for wealth transfer at some point. And we're rolling a lot of those to the enhanced death benefits, right? Where instead of trying to give them a 5.5% fixed rate for 5 years, we're guaranteeing 10% simple interest roll up, right? For the
Yeah.
purposes of wealth transfer. So annuities can do a lot of those different things, and people are starting to pick up on it.
So we talked about this one of the, I think the very first week. So when you're having an initial discussion with an advisor and they're meeting with the client, what are some of the key takeaways, or what are some of the key points of information that you need from them in order to identify what the best solution is?
I like to ask as many questions as I can. I'll take all the data that someone can give me, right? And specifically,
Yeah.
I'll fall back to that enhanced death benefit. I get a lot of times where I'll see somebody that's in their 70s and they're looking for a fixed rate.
Yeah.
And there's several times that I'll ask why we're doing this. And it's just that they want to safely grow their money to pass to their children. And it's like, well, now that we've had a little bit more of a conversation, there's something called an enhanced death benefit, right?
Yeah.
So getting more details, understanding the needs for it, even on like an income annuity, we can look at maybe the very best income, and let's just say it's 12,000 a year. But if I learn a little bit more about the client, about their wishes, their needs, their wants, their fears, maybe what we do is we go to the second or third best, and it's 11,800 a year. But now we're going with an annuity that has uh, like the benefit solution has a big bonus on day one for the purposes of wealth transfer, right? Or we pick an indexed annuity that has much better allocation options, which help
Yeah,
hold the account value together for possible wealth transfer at some point. But if we can have that conversation, I can help guide the right direction. And I don't usually just give one product, one option, right? I like to give a couple of them because no matter how much of a conversation we have, you know your client much better than I do. So if I
right.
can give you a couple of options, say this is why I would look at either one, right? You pick. Let me know if you have any other questions.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, would you think it's safe to say that the annuity buyer is typically a little bit more leaning a little bit more on the conservative side and does want to see multiple options to make sure that they're getting, they're getting the opportunity to select the best? Would you say that that's a true statement?
I would say that the advisors are doing that. As far as the
Yeah,
clients themselves, I'm not sure, but the advisors obviously they come to us a little bit more on the secure side of things.
yeah,
Otherwise, they're just going to manage the money themselves. But
yeah,
yeah, they definitely come for more security, and they're looking for that, I guess, expert advice, right? That's all I do is sit here and look at annuities.
yeah.
We don't prospect over here. I don't prospect. I don't spend my evenings selling. I just sit here and dissect annuity products all day long
Get into the weeds. Love
and build
it.
Excel spreadsheets.
Love it. Well, we just kind of a wrap up here. Obviously, all of us at E4 are here to help you grow your practice as an advisor. Doug has obviously become our guru and knows the annuity side and the stuff inside and out. So part of that this month, you might have noticed is that we have pulled out the annuity sales weekly. So every Monday you will get that highlight sheet and it'll contain some information. So hopefully there's a sales idea or concept each week and kind of create that top of mind awareness. But again, use that as a pivot, get a hold of Doug, get a hold of your RVP and have that conversation around whether it's income or it is to defer some wealth or transfer wealth. That's information that Doug can use. And in addition to that, we're finding that a lot of advisors are having discussions and looking at the income provisions and how it ties to RMDs. And Doug, with the last few couple minutes we got, do you want to talk about the RMD optimizer that we'll be eventually putting onto our website?
Yeah. So our last brew was on this RMD thing, and I'm just going to do a quick screen share just because we've updated it from last week. So I just want to show people really fast. We're not going to run through it in detail, but are we sharing? We good?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. So we've updated a little bit. It allows you to turn the SPIA, DIA on, put in the client's date of birth, their qualified accounts, how you would manage it between equity and bonds, and the returns you think you're going to get. And then it's going to spit out an income premium for you to run an illustration. And we're going to push the number in so we get something that ties to this client. So like I can change it to, let's say, 10,000. And now we just hit a button and it's going to update everything appropriately for us. And it allows us to compare a managed portfolio without using a DIA or SPIA strategy to using it, right? We can see the ending account balance, the income, and of course the total value is combined. But the idea is instead of taking full RMDs out of the managed account, we're going to create a DIA or a SPIA that kicks the income or half of what's needed for the RMD. So the D is kicking 96,000 here, and of the managed account, you should be taking 147, but you're only going to have to take 96, which leaves a lot more money left in that account to manage. And we've had a lot of advisors reaching out about that. That it's been a big hit. So Phil, as you said, we are going to work on trying to get this calculator somehow built into our website that would allow the advisors to jump in and play around with it themselves, but that might be a little complex too.
Yeah, no, I hear you. All right. Well, I appreciate it. We're coming up on wrapping this thing up. So, Doug, I'd like you to pick a number between 1 and 26.
Let's go with lucky 7.
Lucky number 7, and 7 is lucky for Erin. And she is our winner. So be on the lookout for a complimentary CE voucher and Starbucks gift card. And be coming your way courtesy of E4 Insurance Services. Special note, there will not be a brew next week on the 5th. It will be, I'm sorry, not the 5th, the 3rd. I got my days mixed up there. But we will be having a brew on the 10th with myself and Steve Walker. Our July focus planning series will be on worksite and voluntary guaranteed issue. And again, there will be no brew on July 3rd. There will be one on the 10th. And Steve is our institutional vice president of institutional accounts. and we'll be talking about placing those solutions within groups and businesses and how they can help your practice. So thank you again for attending, and we look forward to seeing you on the next brew, and have a wonderful holiday. Thank you.
Thank you.